tradition this day and age to read any good news on the newspaper page. And love and tradition of the grand design, some people say, is even harder to find.
All right, we are back. It feels like we haven't done a podcast in a couple of weeks, I think because of the holiday and all that good stuff. So welcome, gentlemen. All things real estate, a state of mind. And this episode's sponsored by Ben Frieden.
And yes.
I would call this episode a state of confusion.
State of confusion? Yeah.
We've had the debt ceiling.
We have the debt ceiling passed. Mm-hmm. We've had some new Republicans enter the race for the 2024 presidency. And our real estate market is still, I mean, to sum it up in one word, it's just unbelievable, right? I mean, it is insane. I'm going to jump right into the market minute. And then, you know, what's interesting to me about our podcast is that it's starting to grow, gain traction. And if we look at the location of views, we're getting more and more people outside of California. So I've got an interesting story to share a little later that talks about how our market compares with another market in the Midwest that is basically same size population. And it's going to be really, I think, interesting when you see our inventory levels versus theirs and that sort of thing. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But first, I want to jump into the market stats. We are in early June. As we know, every year between June and July, end of July is when our inventory levels peak. As you know, we had that prediction forecast a few months ago on our podcast where we all threw around the numbers we thought our inventory levels would be at. I think, Aaron, you said...
I thought we were going to be at 1,800.
1,800, yeah. So, you know, we got 30 days still to hit that 1,800 number. But as of today, in Santa Clara County, we've got 629 active single-family homes for sale, and we've got 245 active condos and townhomes. And again, right now, we are right about 4 weeks worth of inventory, right?
So all in that is
874 properties. So, and remember that number because I'm going to reference it later. 874 properties, single family homes, condo townhomes in all of Santa Clara County.
That is the exact same number as they had in single family homes just in San Jose last year at this time.
Yeah, so our inventory, percentage-wise, inventory levels are down. Which is why we are seeing multiple offers over asking price. I know the three of you guys have done a really good job getting buyers into contract lately, and it's competitive again. In fact, since COVID started, our home prices are up in our market 28.8%. So, you know, there's always ups and downs, but if you look at...
Was that March of 20?
Yeah, March of 20. Yeah, March 15th, right around there when we started our first shelter in place. Mm-hmm. So since then, home values are up 28.8%, and that includes the peak that we had of June of last year, that little dip that we had through January, and now we're back up again. In fact, we're up almost 17% since the bottom of our market at the beginning of this year.
Mm-hmm. Which was like 19th of Jan or 20th of Jan, just about then.
Yep, right around there. So what are you guys seeing out there? I mean, is it just...
I mean, like you said, it's low inventory, and I think that the driving factor for the next property value is coming from the most recent comp. And again, I think a lot of buyers look at the market as a whole, and they want to really try to analyze the numbers. If there was 20 people looking at the home 5 doors down, there's going to be now 19 people looking at this home 5 doors down, and that price point is going to be very close to what that other price point went for.
If not more.
Yeah, it should be more because you have 19 people now that are pissed off that they didn't get that house, so they're going to push a little further. I will say the difference that I've seen this time around versus last year is that because interest rates are higher, people aren't going 100K, 200K, 300K. We're not selling homes $1 million over asking price anymore like we were back when it was crazy.
The biggest thing to your point is that I don't see that outlier offer as much anymore, right? That one offer where someone's so desperate they just want to get it. Like I see Jeet over here, he's revising his offer. He's within 5, 10, 15, 20K of everyone else. Yeah. And sometimes he's going back and forth 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. A year and a half ago, people were going
someone would just put themselves so far ahead just to get the house.
Yep.
And interest rates are definitely a massive, I think, part in that. You know, with them as they keep going up, those numbers that people just come in at that high over offer, they have to really take that in consideration of what that monthly payment's going to be.
Yeah, because
the cost to borrow money is
to borrow
2.5
3%
times.
versus 6.5%.
Yeah.
That's what.
Absolutely. I think that's why not a lot of people are selling either, because they've fixed in their. Just over this weekend, I got a couple of calls from sellers who are like, should I sell? Should I extend onto my house? Should I buy upgrade onto a bigger home? And it just doesn't make sense for most people right now because of that low interest rate. They've fixed in a 2.625 a long time, like 2-3 years ago, and now they need a bigger house, but that upgrade will be too much of a shock factor in terms of monthly payments. So what would you recommend? Should you expand onto the house or sell and buy a new one?
Well, David, I'm sure, has one opinion, but what I would tag on to that is that it doesn't make sense to sell just to sell, right? If you're going to sell and you're going to have $300,000 in profit, what are you going to do with the money? If you have no plan for the money, then it doesn't make sense, right? Absolutely. Like, where are you going to put it? If you're just going to stare at it in a bank account, just hold on to your house, right? See the long-term play. That's what I would say.
Well, yeah, I would definitely say, there's some markets where if we're anticipating a decline in prices, we may advise a client, hey, sell now and go get a short-term rental for 6 months or a year, right? Because have that cash on the sidelines, because when the market dips, you can jump in. I don't necessarily see that happening in this market. So if I'm advising a client, I'm going to tell them, do you really love the neighborhood you're in? Right? If the issue is just I need a bigger house, well, then yeah, it may make more sense to get a home equity line of credit, do the construction. Now know that you're also going to get, reassessed for property taxes and things like that too, similar to what you would if you are buying a larger home. But certainly if you have the majority of your mortgage on a 2.75 interest rate versus a brand new home at 6 or 7, then it may make sense to expand. Now, if you're looking for an upgrade in a home and a neighborhood, I would say buy right now. If you can handle the payment, right, at 6.5% or whatever it is, because what we know from being in the industry a long time is that interest rates are going to go down. Between now and the election next year, my guess is rates will probably be high 4s to low 5s. And everybody that waited to buy a home is going to jump in the market at that time versus, which will push prices up. Versus you buy a house now, suck up that 6.5-7% interest rate for 18 months, knowing that you can refinance, at that time while the home values are going up around you.
And let's just be clear on something: the days of seeing interest rates at 2.5% are probably over forever.
For our lifetime.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, money will never be that cheap ever again.
Well, never say never.
Never.
If they're, yeah. And you
2.5% is crazy.
If something causes our economy to collapse.
Okay, sure.
And they have to inject money, restart, our economy, then we will see rates back in the 2s and 3s. So never say never.
Hopefully, we never see money go that cheap again.
I don't know. I think everything's in a cycle. What's wrong with cheap money?
Well, so what I find super crazy is you see some of these. Everyone wants there to be a recession. Clearly, when I say everyone, I mean like that's all the news wants to talk about. That's all I hear about.
Sure.
And here, the four of us are like, oh my gosh, the market's going nuts, right? But then you see this big article that came out today that the San Francisco, the largest owner of real estate in San Francisco, I could be butchering this slightly, so we're gonna have to fact check it. But they walked away from the Hilton hotel
in San Francisco.
Correct. And that was $725 million
There
on a loan.
It's
They
gonna
don't
be,
want to pick up that lease again.
Well, it's going to be really interesting because the amount of commercial mortgages that are resetting over the next 12 to 18 months is a staggering amount. So what a lot of news outlets and people are saying is the commercial values are going to crash, right? Especially office space, hotel, and a lot of multifamily. Over the last 2 years, there was a lot of syndications, right? Do you guys know what that is? When a bunch of people invest in a multifamily or commercial type project. Well, this was in the news recently too. A lot of people have invested money in multifamily big ones, 30, 40, 50, $60 million multifamily projects. Well, what most people maybe don't realize is that commercial loans are typically like 3, 5, or 7 year terms. And then you have to refinance. Well, the rates right now are so high that the numbers don't work. And now all of these mom and pops investors that invested in these syndicates are now upside down and are losing money. And so, long story short, a lot of people are thinking that the correction that's going to happen in the commercial market will eventually trickle down to residential. I don't know.
But there's just, with commercial space, there's so much more than there are residential homes.
Yeah, and I think, what's going to happen is, a lot of these people are now trying to renegotiate the debt. They're doing commercial short sales. Yeah. So, the banks are going to get hit first, right? They're the ones taking the losses. But I don't know that it's necessarily going to trickle down to the residential
I just think supply, demand, so many people just want to be homeowners, right? It's the American dream. Absolutely.
The Mercury News came out with the article today. Over the last 18 months in the Bay Area, 25,000 tech jobs, have been let go. But if you look at the unemployment rate, do you guys know what the unemployment rate is right now for the Bay Area?
For the Bay Area?
Under 3%?
Almost.
4.3.
3.8%. It's nothing,
yeah,
right?
Low.
So even though the big headline was 25,000 tech workers lost their job, unemployment rate's still 3.9%. So there's not that fear in our area. There's caution, but there's not fear like, I'm absolutely going to get laid off tomorrow and I'm going to have to go 18 months before I find another job. So we have that on our side. Like you said, supply and demand, 629 homes in Santa Clara County. Now, this is interesting. Over the months, we've talked about the great migration of people leaving California, leaving the Bay Area. So the reality is San Jose used to always be the 10th largest city in the United States. We're now 12th, right? Austin is now number 10. Oh, and they've only got us beat by about 3,000 people. So Austin has 974 or so thousand, and we have 971,000. But here's the interesting thing. So basically, Austin and San Jose, same size, right? In terms of population, within 3,000. We have 874 single-family homes, condos, townhomes, right? Total inventory for sale, 874. Do you guys know how many properties they have in Austin for sale as of today?
8,000.
9,700.
7,300.
Wrong, but not far off. 5,319 homes.
That's it. So it was at 9,000 at the beginning of the year.
Yes.
But they have so much more land.
That market's heated up.
Okay.
But even though it's heated up, think about that.
Wait, it was at 9,000?
Yeah, it was 9,000
at the beginning of the year.
I was hoping you weren't going to transition this to an Austin
Well,
conversation.
but I'm only bringing it up for
Someone's got to do it. Mark's not.
comparison. Yeah, shout out to MVK. I'm only bringing this up because here is the Midwest, same size city as San Jose, and people are talking about real estate market crashing, things like that. We have 874 homes for sale. They have 5,319. So when you're looking at a place for appreciation long term, it is still hard to beat the Bay Area.
But what's so interesting is obviously Texas has way more land, right?
Yeah.
The city of Austin itself is way larger, like size-wise. And they have new construction homes, single family, where we have new construction condos, townhouses mostly.
Correct.
Like you look at the big place over here in Los Gatos. My question to you guys is new construction a safe bet? Those 1-bed, 1-bath condos that are selling over here it's North 40, right? For $1 million, are we going to see appreciation on those 5-7 years from now? Is new construction a good bet for appreciation?
I think new construction is a good bet because people like new shiny things. However, I would never advise anybody to buy a 1-bedroom, 1-bath condo.
Can we confirm too? I don't know if I think the smallest in Bella Terra is a 2-bedroom. A 1-bedroom.
Right here, there's a 1-1s.
They have a 1-bedroom plus dens and things like that.
Yeah, I would never suggest ever buying a 1-1. I don't think in the right market or even in the right area you're going to ever see an appreciation on a 1-1 like you will.
I agree.
No, it doesn't rise.
Because even right now we're having a hard time selling them.
Yeah,
Well, that's
1-1s are the worst.
And this is a hot market, right? So I would focus on, if you can't get the newer construction that you want and you can't be centrally located, try to find something with a yard. I think that's been a really good value for what buyers are looking for in today's market.
Well, yeah, perfect example. So I sold that, or we're in contract right now, but I had that house on 25th Street. Now, it's an old house, not great shape, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, but it is only 872 square feet. So we listed it at 750, sold it for 850. But you have a huge backyard. Yeah, 850, which you can't even get a nice two bedroom condo for. So here's a house with no HOA, a large lot because it's a small property, so you can always expand over time. And what a lot of people, I think, slept on was that it's walking distance from where the downtown BART station's coming in, and that may take another 10 years or whatever. But when you look at the growth of our area and where some of those opportunity zones, if you want, that was a perfect example. So now they got a two-bedroom place that's walking distance to a future BART station, and that'll only go up in value. So yeah, I mean, one-bedroom condo is not the way to go. Something with land,
1000%.
absolutely.
You if you're right on the cusp, I would say focusing on. I mean, the city has, generally speaking, a 10-year plan as to what they're planning on bringing infrastructure-wise to the town, the city, whatever it may be. And if you want to hedge your bet, do exactly like that. Go near a BART station, a Caltrain station coming in.
Yeah, or even better, there are, I'll call them decent, not great, but there are decent duplexes for, say, 1.3 million that you can buy right now, kind of along that same corridor. So if you're if you're a buyer that's looking to buy a condo for 750 to 850, buy that duplex, because you're going to get at least two bedrooms, a lot of times 3 bedrooms, 2 bath. You take the larger side with a yard. You rent out the other side to offset your mortgage. You know, you can still get in with FHA financing, and then eventually you can buy something else, and then now you have your first full rental property.
I like that play as well a lot as a more of a grandma style house where you can do a cosmetic rehab and get some instant equity as well. Mm-hmm. Then you can kind of play around a little bit more with the numbers.
Yep.
Would you buy a rental property in a high crime area?
Rental property?
Mm-hmm. Like an investment property with like, for example, a neighborhood with good schools. Is that where you'd buy a rental where crime rates are probably lower, or a neighborhood with higher crime rates but better for transportation and not the best schools?
You're going to get better cash flow
Yeah.
in a neighborhood with a higher crime rate.
For rentals, I don't think you're looking at crime rates as much as you're looking at numbers, right?
Yeah, I was
Right.
going to say.
Can't be emotionally attached to caring, really.
Right.
Yep.
So as long as the numbers work, that's what.
Yeah, the cap rate's going to be higher on an older, duplex or older single family home in a not great area, right? Versus, paying a premium in Cambrian, and your rent is a third of what the mortgage is.
And generally speaking, that area probably isn't going to get worse, I would say. I mean,
You never know.
it's, especially in this
But
general
you're not
area.
living there. It's an investment property, right? And so and that's a great thing about like HUD and Section 8 too. It's how my grandfather, did most of his investment properties, is you use those neighborhoods as an opportunity to, to provide housing for Section 8 people.
And Section 8 is guaranteed forever, right?
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think people need to understand that everyone needs somewhere to live. It doesn't matter where the investment property necessarily is. And it's the same thing when people are, I don't know if my home can sell. Someone's going to buy the home, someone's going to rent the property. If the numbers work out for you and you market it and rent it out accordingly to those numbers, it'll be fine.
Absolutely.
All right, Ben, I see you brought a notepad today.
Yeah,
book,
absolutely.
So you must have some great things for us to segue into.
Absolutely. I mean, I can hit it with a quick mustache minute. I've had a couple buyers in this last week, just due to the inventory level, get stressed out over the fact that their first offer isn't accepted or that they're having a hard time competing against people. And I truly believe that everything happens for a reason, and you have to stay you have to stay positive in this whole process. You have to stay committed to the process and the people around you, and you have to stay consistent with what we put into place. It doesn't make sense to just jump into an offer situation thinking you're going to get every offer you put on. You got to understand that everything comes with a learning lesson and experience, and just because you don't get the property, find the outliers in that of why you didn't get the property. How many people were you competing against? What do you need to know about the next property in terms of how high of an offer do you need to go up? Everything is a learning process, especially when you're a buyer.
Absolutely.
Wow, wise words.
It's just I feel like it's a very stressful time for people. They look on Zillow every day, nothing's popping up. It's like, don't worry. It's not like something's going to pop up and you're not going to see it. Especially if you're working with an agent. David says it every week. We have over 200 off-market properties. that doesn't mean that we're just going to walk into an off-market property and get one, but at least we get to see a property and understand that it's coming up. We get to plan for it accordingly. Like, it's...
And I also would tag on to that and say, don't set deadlines and timelines, right? You have to be realistic. Don't stress yourself out to try and find the home in 30 days or whatever, right?
Well, it's good to have a goal, but also have a plan B. Right. I mean, just in case, especially in this market when there's 600 homes for sale. Like Ben said, it may take a couple to get one to stick, and so certainly, we will do whatever we can. But it's a little more challenging for us when you come to us on June 15th and say, "Hey, I have to be out of my lease by June 30th." I've got 2 weeks to buy a house.
And again, when we say who you work with matters,
do we say that?
Yeah, well, a little trademark. But when buyers hear that, again, we're not just going to hand you the home that you want. We're going to make sure that you're in the driver's seat, whether it's to get a counter or at least to understand what we need to do to compete. We're going to put you in that right position. We're not just going to hand you the property or we're going to write an offer and it's going to get it. The goal is to get in the driver's seat and you make that decision.
Well
Yeah, I think what Ben's trying to say is we put you in a position that if you want to go after the property and be aggressive, we'll make sure you're in a position to have that opportunity.
But it's up to you as the buyer to step up, not us. We can only educate you and kind of guide you, but
and at the end of the day,
I'm not here
decision.
to push anyone, right? Like, I want you to be comfortable and happy.
Yeah.
But it's totally normal to feel like, oh my God, I overpaid. That's human nature.
100%.
We all feel like
that. That the buyer's remorse and second guessing happens usually immediately after we hang up the phone with them and say, congratulations, your offer was accepted. And then they can't sleep that night because they're like, okay, did we overpay? Is it the right house? Is it the right time? Am I going to get the right interest rate? Could I have offered less? Right. And so for all of our buyers out there, all of that emotion is totally normal and, goes through just about everybody's mind once they get an offer accepted.
Yeah. You're human.
You are human.
What's up, Jeter?
I had an interesting situation. So I had a buyer talk to me about a flat fee real estate company. So I was he's interviewing 5 agents, out of which I was top 2. And this is a buyer. And then he said, I want to try the flat fee real estate company. And they said they would give majority, like 90% of the commission back. And I'm like, if they give you a credit for more than $10,000, where are you going to use it? It makes no sense at all for them to promise you 90% back when you can only use $10,000 off it. Long story short, he had a terrible experience with them because the agent wouldn't pick up the phone. He wouldn't have anyone that was basically, he didn't have the shot at the offer that he placed. He was the lowest one, no communication because the offer was poorly presented. He comes back to me and now I'm working with him. So yeah, flat fee real estate companies.
I think if any buyer's asking for a commission back from a real estate agent, they're not financially in the position where they should be buying a home.
No, and this is right.
Well, let me give you my point real quick. If you're going to get a commission back from an agent, that's not going to lower your monthly price. That's going to be money in your pocket. Do what you want with it. But your price point overall per month will not be lower with a $5,000 commission back.
That's not true.
Well, you could use
it would
buy
be
down the rate.
Correct.
You could offset your closing costs, but
a $5,000 is not going to buy down a rate unless you got a very, very big loan or small loan.
Yeah, but no. At the end of the day, what happens is, commissions are negotiable, and there are agents that maybe aren't operate at a high level, or they only do 1 to 2 deals a year, and they're desperate for any deal. So they will give half of their hard-earned commission back, just to have a little bit of money coming in. What happens is then word of mouth spreads. We all get those calls. Hey, are you willing to credit some of your commission on the buyer side? And my answer is, well, thanks for asking, but absolutely not. And here's why. And I would tell them, hey, if I'm an agent that only does 2 deals a year and I'm hard up and desperate and I got 2 other jobs, hey, I'll split my commission with you, because anything's better than nothing. But when we work as hard as we do and have the success rate that we do, I think we earn our money.
Hell yeah. And it's such a stupid conversation that we're even having because the seller is the one who pays the commission.
I know.
At what point did this become a thing? If you're asking me, which none of you did, those agents are bottom of the barrel agents. They're desperate. They need the business. Frankly speaking, I don't think any 4 of us at this table need any business. We're fine for a while, right? And if that's what is the most important thing to you and you want to ask me right off the bat, I'm probably not a good fit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because one, we all work hard for what we do, and two, we all have families or partners, spouses, whatever, and that takes money off of our table. And we do a lot of good for our community, from dumpster days to our client appreciation events. And so we reinvest a lot of what we earn back into our business and back into our client base. And so I don't want to take that away from my clients or my community, by giving some buyer that doesn't recognize the value of what we do day in and day out, a couple of $1,000s. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And I told them I'd rather negotiate for you than with you, right? And I don't come to your job asking for your money. So you shouldn't do that to mine.
There you go. Enough said. All right. Well, you know what? Short and sweet today. Next week, we're going to have a special guest, David Laver, who has been in our industry for a long time. Very, very intelligent individual, especially when it comes to mortgage rates, the economy, and where things are heading. So I'm looking forward to picking his brain. Hopefully MVK will be back. And it was fun. I don't think we cracked enough jokes today, but...
Go on, Aaron. Crack a joke.
I got nothing.
You got nothing? All right. Well, that's it, as always. And I will finish with this. I know we always say who you work with matters, and it's kind of silly, whatever. But anybody out there that's thinking about buying or selling, please give us the opportunity to earn your business. And it's okay if you want to go interview other agents. We love competition, but at least give us that opportunity to talk to you about the market and how we may be able to help you and your goals as it comes to home ownership. Love to have that conversation with you guys. Until then, be well. See you.